the Message, a podcast. I'm Jeff Pondertwardy. My business here is to, tell you my spiritual journey, but certainly not just mine, thank goodness. This is an opportunity for all of us to listen about the spiritual journeys and the joys and the sorrows, but even greater joys of friends of mine, acquaintances of mine, that I know could tell their own stories better than I ever could. That's what we'll do here. And I have someone to introduce to you today that I appreciate a great deal. His name is David Thompson. I met him years ago in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And, we'll hear about that here in just a bit. And anyway, enjoy his story. He has many stories to tell. But I take great pride in introducing him to you, and you'll enjoy what he shares. And I will talk to you on the other side. Well, David Thompson. Let's make it clean. David Thompson. You are an acquaintance of mine in bygone days in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And we crossed paths because my wife was associate pastor at Forest Lake United Methodist Church. And I was on leave of absence. And I mentioned this in the last episode. I went on leave of absence when we were in Tuscaloosa. My mother died. And silly me, I needed some time to mourn that.
Sure.
As opposed to just kind of shrugging it off. So that's what I was doing, my leave of absence. So in the meantime, I'm attending Forest Lake as a regular guy and loving it and knowing it's one of the places where I need to go to heal, basically. And I see this guy who is in the contemporary worship service. He's got his guitar. He's up there with a bunch of gifted musicians, and this guy happens to be you, and you're leading worship. And let me just say this, is that you always came across to me, and you still come across to me, as a Renaissance man. And
I used to say I wear my guitar. I don't really play the guitar. I just wear it.
All right, so people are listening to this. Let me just say this. David Thompson he's a writer, he's a teacher, he's a musician, he's a preacher, he is a father, he's a husband, he is... What am I missing, David?
Well, I had an opportunity to model for Sears catalog, but it closed me down. I think you covered it all. Husband. So, yeah.
I did throw in that. I want to honor Karen. And
it's important that you do that, yes, because she's going to hear this.
Well, she better. Now, look, here's the deal. I sent her a friend request on Facebook, and she has kept her distance. Maybe for good reason. But, I
don't know if she can take two of us at one time.
That may be true. And you also do a video cast podcast, wherever they call these things, on YouTube. What's the name of that?
Never Met a Preacher Like You.
Never Met a Preacher Like You. That's exactly right.
That's right.
Okay, so what else do we need? What else do we need to know about David Thompson, David, before we get?
Well, I've been in the ministry all my life since the day I came out of the womb, because my father was a Methodist minister in the Missouri West Conference.
That's right. I had forgotten.
Yeah, I've been around these guys. At that time, it was mostly guys all my life, and that could be the reason I am strange. But but he was in the Missouri West Conference. He mostly served these little small churches. Back then, Jeff, most churches, Methodist churches, weren't larger than 100 people. I mean,
right.
It was we didn't have mega churches.
Right.
And so he served in like down by the Ozarks, and in fact, when he did serve a church in St. Louis that had about 150, the parsonage was attached to the church.
Sure.
And when the church service was over, they'd cut through the parsonage and make my mother wow. It was just like I say, I've been with ministers pretty much all my life.
Wonderful.
I think
Sure.
that's what scared me from the ministry was I've been around so many ministers. Yeah.
It's yes. See, and I maybe advantage to me is that I didn't have that background.
That's right.
And so you don't think you have I didn't think I had a legacy to carry on. Now,
Right.
if I followed my father on Pennsylvania Railroad, which would have been absolutely insane, I can't imagine doing that. That would be a totally different deal. But anyway, so you grew up in the church, and so because a lot of what we do, a lot of this conversation is going to be in other conversations with others. It's a matter of spiritual journey, kind of a thing. Let me ask you this: we'll put it this way? When did you realize you had come to faith, or did you have an experience of coming to faith?
Right. I think, like so many people, it's just so ironic. I think in a lot of ways, I came, even though I went to church often. I really came to faith in kind of a peripheral ministry, like so many people do. I mean, a lot of people come to church at camp, or they go on a walk to Emmaus to come to Christ, or they have this outside ministry. They go to church, but a lot of times they really, come to justification at church. And so I did it at a church camp. It was called Camp Galilee. I just felt like God was chasing me. I didn't want to. Because when you're a minister's kid, Jeff, they always ask you, you're going to grow up to be just like your dad, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I'm saying, oh, hell no. Please don't push me that way.
That's right.
I really came, I remember just outside, we were outside in the woods, a bunch of us, and I just felt God sort of pushing me along,
Yeah.
And so, I think that was my first experience. I might have been 11 years old. I wouldn't call it dramatic,
Yeah.
I didn't have those kind of dramatic things until I was much older. But I knew that God was with me from the get-go when that happened when I was about 9 or 10.
Right.
But there was somebody chasing me.
Yes.
Yeah.
A hound from heaven. Is that the crazy
That's
image?
Right. That's right. And see, here's the other thing, is that my father came out of this very structured Methodist tradition of, idle hands are the devil's workshop, and you behave, and and so this freedom, kind of free spirit thing that I felt like I was kind of born with, was really kind of held down because it was don't drink, don't chew, don't go with girls who do.
Yes. And thank God neither of us have.
That's true. That's true. Went for communion, I'd be sober. That's right.
That's right. I was going to ask you something, but my nudge. Let's put it that way. I grew up in the church. There was and I mentioned this in a sermon a couple of weeks ago that I preached where I am now, and there was a lay witness weekend at my home church in Baltimore, where I grew up, Methodist Church, and on that lay witness weekend, lay people were coming to our church to basically give testimony of encounters with God, their walk with Christ, just whatever, and it was done in small groups. It was done in worship services. And the intention was that everybody's got a testimony. And if you don't, either you're not aware of it, or maybe this is the weekend where you make a serious commitment. Sure. And so I was in the youth group, and I remember it was Saturday night, so this is drawing to a close. So everybody was broken up in pairs of 2s and 3s with the minister to ministers to youth, who those people are. They came and they broke up with the youth, and there were a bunch of cool people from West Virginia, and I was paired up with the leader of that ministry team for the youth. And I was like, oh yeah. And I remember him telling a story about Barabbas. I mean, he told his own testimony, and it moved me and all that. And I thought, well, this is real serious stuff. Wow. And I was, a sophomore in high school, I think. And so he made a story. He made it related to Barabbas. at point of Jesus' trial. And the crowd cried for Barabbas and Jesus be crucified. And I remember him reading that story, and I became overcome. And to this day, I can't necessarily put my finger on what exactly happened to me, that deal. So those kinds of experiences are peppered all through our spiritual journeys.
Absolutely. There are, there are times, I guess I think it happens in everybody's life, Jeff, where God says, let's come aside here a minute. Let's just you and I talk.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just kind of and it doesn't happen to me. Didn't happen to me in a church service. Although I have seen it happen there. It's just a kind of a private moment, and everything just kind of goes away around you.
Absolutely.
You're just sitting there.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, we've all had those just powerful things. It's just wonderful. They're just wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, you ended up. You're telling your story to me, and when I got to know you, you were at one point teaching at the university, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
University of Alabama.
I got my bachelor's degree. This is why I worked. It shows you how God was kind of guiding me, and I didn't even know He was doing it. I was like a chess piece just being pushed around. But the point is, I got a bachelor's degree in theater. I changed the airline stewardess down here. They used to train stewardesses outside of Kansas City. So I chased her down to Alabama and got a scholarship in theater. She flew off, and there I was, as a theater major. And I spent a couple of summers in New York, and mostly on the stage crew. But I did do a show with Carol Burnett called Annie Get Your Gun. But the point is,
wow.
I went up there and I thought, my goodness, these people had talent. I mean, they didn't just just act or just dance. I mean, they could sing, dance, speak a foreign language, do acrobats now with Circus Olay. I mean, it was, and I said, I don't know if I could do all this. I better get a degree. I mean, I better get at least a teaching certificate. So I did.
Yeah.
And when I was hired, I thought I was going to be the theater person, the theater coach. And the guy said, no, I want you to coach debate.
So that's right. That's right. Yeah.
That's and those teams were very successful. And then the University of Alabama called me and said, we want you to come up here and teach. And I did that for 14 years of coaching debate. But it's a road job. You're traveling all over the country with a bunch of kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's just as if you were, coaching softball or the swim team, let alone anything else. I mean, we got a schedule and we got our tournaments.
That's
so
right.
let's do it.
The year they won the national championship, when I was coaching, I got a $1,000 raise, and the football coach got a $10,000 raise. See how he didn't win. So,
what a bum.
It was interesting, just to travel all over the country, and you learn how to think. That's when I learned how to say, "Hey, listen, I can find some information that says the sky's pink."
Yeah,
I mean, it's out there. Somebody will say something that's, and I tell you what, it forced me to kind of find the truth about God. I mean,
wow.
Not just to take somebody else's, not just to have my parents' religion, which I think everybody does at the beginning, but to have my own religion and my own relationship.
Wow.
With God. Yeah.
Wow.
And it caused me to look, to research it out. Hey, are you serious? Somebody died and rose from the dead? Is there some evidence that this happened? Well, by golly, there is.
Yeah.
You think. So.
That's very cool. That is very cool.
Yeah.
When you make
the theaters help me be a minister.
What do you always say? You're the normal one in your family? Is that right?
I'm the only normal person in my
family. You're the
family.
only normal person. Right.
I've noticed that everywhere I've gone in the churches I've served, I go in there and I find out, I'm the only normal person in this church. It's just a label that somehow God has put on me. So.
That's right. Just wearing your guitar.
Right.
No, it is that thing about decide. Well, you don't make. I guess you come to a decision about it, but
Sure.
the realization and a passionate, and I can speak for myself, a certain level of passion arose in me at one point where, yeah, my walk of faith isn't like my parents, thank God.
That's right.
Not because it's bad, not because whatever, but it's just that, those important times in your life and your maturation, kind of like anything else, kind of like my walk of faith isn't going to be the same as Harry and Elma's.
That's right.
And to realize that in that God is found, and in that God has put you at that place of saying, you know something, I'm on my own way, and it's okay. And in the midst of it, there's the power of community and the company we keep.
Right.
So, okay, so you did the thing, you did the university thing. You ended up, and also you ended up being a principal for...
That's right. That was my favorite job, elementary school principal.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my God. It was before No Child Left Behind. We left everybody behind. But we had... I could do all kinds of fun things. Like I said, while I was there, I was learning how to play the guitar. And those poor kids suffered through that for 3 years, 3 years. But
3 chords. 3 chords, David. That's all you need.
That's right. God protected me there. I'd do funny things over the intercom, like secret scream contest, and we would, we had the Alabama Ballet come in and do the story of the Christopher Fiction.
Wow.
I mean, it was just there's a college there in Tuscaloosa called Stillman College, and they have a Stillman College singers came, and I just tried to expose them to a lot of art, music, and theater, and because you didn't get teachers to do that because we couldn't afford it, and so like if we taught the Civil War, we teach Civil War art, music, and theater. I mean,
yeah.
So
that's so cool.
So, but that was such a good job because kids, they preach the gospel. They don't even know they're doing it. They actually live the gospel. You know? I mean,
it's so cool. Now go ahead. While we're at this, go ahead and plug your book.
Yes, I have a book called "You Did Something Good," and that comes out of this business of we used to give out these little. I remember these little pieces of paper. That's when somebody would do something good, we'd give them this piece of paper, or if they did something good at home, we would. Their parents could write a note, and I'd go in the cafeteria and say, "This is Jeff, and I want you to meet Jeff because," and everybody in the cafeteria would go, "He did something good." And then I would tell them, and
oh, that's
Jeff
great.
I'd get a little certificate, and if they got 100 of them. They would. Our mascot was an eagle. We'd hang an eagle up above on the ceiling, so kids would come back after their graduation and look at their little eagle. But anyway,
that's so cool.
Oh God, you think? Of course, the last week of school, they were all hanging around you because they were like at 95 and they wanted to get 100. They shining your shoes. You need a toothbrush. You need so. But so many great stories. Of them just so, and I'll tell you what I found. Without them even knowing it, Jeff, they were walking the scriptures. They were.
Wow.
They things like. Well, let me just give you one example. They were starting to come in my office. A lot of them were coming in because they had a loose tooth, and so I decided, well, I'm going to make this a big deal. So. I got a doctor's outfit, and they'd come in and they'd say, "Dr. Thompson, I have a loose tooth," and I'd say, "Okay, you want to see the doctor?" And they would say, "Yeah." And I'd go in the little bathroom, put my doctor's outfit, mask, and a hat, coat. I'd say, "Okay, now sit down here. We're going to play some music, and I want you to just bob your head up and down to the music." And they would, and I'd take that tooth out, and now you get sued, And then I would push them
exactly
back to
right.
Class. Yeah. Then I push them back into class in a wheelchair. Like it was a big deal. Well, I thought to myself, when people hurt, they want attention. And it may not be a big deal to me.
Yeah.
But it's a big deal to them, by golly. And that's the way God is. I mean, we think, I remember you said, well, God doesn't want to be bothered with this. Well, God does want to be bothered with it.
Yeah.
He does want to be bothered with it.
Yeah.
And part of it is, let's make a big deal out of this. You get the attention. You need the attention because you want the attention. You want to feel loved and cared for. It's a big deal.
Wow.
And
that's very cool.
So the kids would come in the summer, and mamas would say, "He won't let me pull his tooth. Will you do it?" So it was wild. It was just such a great thing. Because they're so real.
Yeah.
It's just so doggone real.
Yeah. Learn to appreciate the word company. I want company on my journey.
Absolutely.
And I talk about being an introvert and all that kind of thing, but I like company on my journey, and realize that in the midst of it, midst of the good and the bad, you need company. Who would you say? I guess certainly you could say who has been important to you as keeping your company, and I guess we could take some guesses at that and I'd be right. But company that you've kept on your spiritual journey, and maybe one instance where company was real important. The community, let's say the company you were keeping on your spiritual journey, in one instance, were extremely important. Talk maybe a little bit about that.
Yeah, my father passed away when I was 13. He was 57 when I was born.
Oh.
So it was a kind of an older thing. And when that happened, that church, I went to this little old church, in Oakley Methodist Church, and those men just loved me. They just took the place of my family.
Wow.
They just took me to baseball games and surrounded me with care and love and tried to discipline me as best, because I was kind of a wild child. I mean, I liked attention, and so, and I found out that I was funny. I could do funny, and in fact, I got most funniest in my high school. And I'd go up. The problem with being a funny guy is when you go on a date, you can't be funny for an hour, 2 hours. Sooner or later, you got to give up the act. So, but then
that's right, Jerry Lewis. You can't be funny for.
That's right. But I had a guy named Dr. Harry Goodall. He was a minister in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah,
of course. He just kind of took me under his wing. I mean, he said to me one time, and this is just, I hope I can say it without falling apart. He said to me, David, when is Jesus just going to be enough for you?
Wow.
I mean, then if your wife gets well, it's a bonus. I mean, you're starting the wrong way. You're praying, Jesus, make my wife well. It goes the other way. It's Jesus, you're enough for me, and I know that you can do it.
Yeah.
And that was just dramatic to me, because I have always been, I think, in my spiritual journey, I want Jesus, and I want to be good. I want to be a good boy. I want to be kind. I want to be popular. I want to make money. It's always been Jesus and.
Wow.
And so until that happened, then I decided, I need to make him enough in my life.
Wow.
And I mean, when you got a mentor who's not afraid to say, like he also said to me, well, why do you got to have all this attention?
Wow.
So
that's just so cool. I hadn't thought about Harry Goodall.
I had somebody told me one time. Well, I'll tell you, there was a guy named Erickson. I read his book, Wild at Heart. He said, no man, Jeff, should be without a mentor. No man, because our minds wander too much. We can't keep our mind. We got monkey mind. We everywhere. And you got to have somebody. All of us need somebody who can love us through honesty.
Wow. Yes. And see, the thing is, for me to ask the question about the company you keep, because like I said, community is an overdone word, and it becomes so big that, it's again, I speaking as an introvert, the idea of community, that's a lot of people. More likely, it's more people that I really want to know, let alone, do know. But the issue of company, and for me to bring it up is kind of like, and for me actually to do this probably does touch on an internal need on my part, where I want to get back in touch with people, because I have returned to ministry. And in returning to ministry, I don't want to do this alone. And with all that's coming in the United Methodist Church and how that's going to pan out and all that kind of thing. There's already a fracturing, and it's the schism is going to be a cataclysmic thing. Whether we think it's all going to be a clean break, and I don't necessarily want to go this way in conversation, but the thinking it's going to clean break is silly. But I guess in the midst of thinking about all that stuff, and thinking about where I am in ministry, where I am in my life, I want to reconnect with people and have company on the remainder of my journey or the big things that are coming up in my journey, because I don't know. I'd like to think there are big things coming, and I don't necessarily want to do them by myself. And April and I both feel this way, that we're together, but we don't necessarily want to have it just be us. We want it to be a bigger group. So
yeah, it's the surrendered and surrounded theory. I mean, you need to be surrendered and surrounded.
Wow,
you can't be a part of the body apart from the body. I mean, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that you start with Christ. I mean, the beginning point isn't necessarily to be a part of the body, although that's not a bad thing.
Yes.
But the initial thing is I want to be a part of Christ first.
Yes.
And we've done it backwards. And so you get people who go to church and they don't have a relationship with Christ.
Right.
They haven't developed that part of it. Or
right.
They're not, disciple. I mean, they're not bad people. They just, like my wife says this, they just don't know they don't know.
Yes. So that's just the thing. Okay, here we go. We're winding down. So, okay, I said to you, I invited you to do this. We're going to close out because we've gotten kind of heavy, and that's fine because, again, we're making ourselves think, making ourselves cry, making ourselves...
Right.
Okay.
Idle hands in the devil's workshop.
There you go.
Brain, by the way.
God bless your father.
That's right.
Okay. Your favorite meal. What would you say would be your favorite meal right now?
Oh, my mother was an Italian immigrant, so it's got
cheese and crackers. Really? Oh my heavens!
I visited her home in Italy. We would have spaghetti and meatballs every Sunday when I was a kid.
That's just marvelous. Oh,
Italians don't cook for one; they cook for 30, even if there's just 2 of you. Yeah.
That's marvelous.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. Okay. What's the other thing? I know we're going to finish up. Oh, favorite artist. Your favorite artist. Singer, writer, who?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be Dean Martin. Everybody loves somebody.
Oh, cheese and crackers.
That's so cool. And the Beatles. Those 2 are my favorite. Musicians, artists.
Yeah. I had should I say that? Well, we entertained. I'll put it this way: we entertained family at the house a couple Sundays ago after church, and I'm talking about meal thing. I fixed steamed shrimp, and let me tell you what. With Old Bay and just the whole 9 yards.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that is just tremendous. Oh my heavens, just tremendous. And for me, artists, I did a wonderful job, and everybody left full, and that was just marvelous. So, and my favorite artist, it's always that nip and tuck of Bob Dylan or Bruce Springsteen, because I always imagine them to be my uncles, where one of them is the guy that comes in and always has a story and always has a laugh and does the thing, is the big heartbeat in the room, and that's Springsteen. Bob is the one who sits in the corner and goes, "Yeah, that's a pretty good story." Yeah. And just sit there and not say a word all night, but you love him because you know who he is.
That's right.
It's just very cool. Okay, your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is The Music Man. In fact, that whole thing about the evil you close your eyes to a situation you may not wish to acknowledge, indicated by the presence of a pool table in your community. Well, you got trouble, my friend. Right here in River City, you got trouble. I love that. I saw that movie about 3 or 4 times, and I still watch it at least once a year. Yeah.
I saw it on Turner Classics about this year sometime, maybe before we moved. I watched the whole thing, and I thought, I've never seen this. And that whole speech there in the city square when he started.
I love that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh, what a wonderful piece of acting and oratory. Oh my gosh, what a wonderful movie.
I think it was the first rap song that was produced on
That may be true. That's just wonderful. All right, that's great. I told you he was a great guy. See, from now on, you're just going to have to trust me when I tell you these things. David, we appreciate you setting some time aside and having a conversation with me and sharing your story with us. It was great. Blessings on you and your family. And we'll see you along the journey. However you're listening to us, whatever platform you are on, be it Spotify or Google Podcasts or indirectly through Facebook or perhaps even YouTube, be sure to leave a comment. Be sure to just let us know you're out there. That would be great, and I appreciate it. And we will see you along the journey. Bye-bye.